History usually frames the crucifixion as the tragic result of a weak Roman governor bowing to a religious mob. We are told Pontius Pilate washed his hands of the blood, acting as a reluctant judge caught in an impossible situation. But the historical reality was far more brutal. Pilate was a ruthless military governor who commanded a massive garrison of legionnaires and viewed the local population with open contempt. This stone inscription found at Caesarea confirms his absolute authority in the region, marking him not as a figure of compromise, but as the supreme representative of Roman power. If a man with overwhelming military superiority and a documented history of crushing dissent wanted to let a local prisoner go, why did he hesitate? Pilate's eventual surrender had nothing to do with religious law. He was paralyzed by the fear of a bloodthirsty dictator sitting on a throne 1,500 miles away. To understand that fear, you have to look across the Mediterranean. By 33 AD, Emperor Tiberius Caesar had abandoned Rome entirely, choosing to rule from this heavily guarded fortress on the Isle of Capri. From this isolation, Tiberius descended into deep psychological instability. He became obsessed with hunting down political traitors. The trigger for this paranoia was a massive political coup launched just a few years prior by his own trusted right-hand man, a commander named Sejanus. When the coup failed, Tiberius unleashed a brutal purge. Anyone with political ties to Sejanus was hunted down and executed alongside their entire families. This was Pilate's specific nightmare. He had been hand-picked and promoted to his governorship in Judea by the traitor Sejanus. With his political patron dead, Pilate was walking on a razor-thin sheet of ice. He was a prime suspect operating under the constant threat of execution by a murderous boss. This architectural model shows the density of ancient Jerusalem. During the Passover festival, the city was crammed with over 2 million pilgrims, forcing them into a space designed for a fraction of that number. This overcrowding created a pressure cooker. Tensions against the Roman occupation were at a breaking point, carrying an extreme risk of a full-scale riot. Into this tinderbox enters Jesus, carrying a dangerous label. This silver coin features the profile of Caesar, who held a strict monopoly on power. In Roman eyes, claiming the title of king was a direct military challenge to that authority. The high priests understood Pilate's vulnerability. Their threat was clear: release this so-called king, and we alert Tiberius you're harboring a traitor. Pilate was trapped. A riot would trigger the blackmail letter, and his execution for treason would be certain. Pilate's public act of washing his hands served as a calculated political disclaimer. He was signaling to the crowd that he was the victim of extortion, attempting to scrub himself of the legal liability for the execution he was about to authorize. This iron nail, embedded in a heel bone, represents the brutal reality of the order Pilate eventually gave. He didn't care about the religious charges. He ordered the execution of an innocent man to keep the city quiet and save his own life. While the event is often viewed through a spiritual lens, the mechanics were entirely driven by the machinery of Roman self-preservation. Pilate yielded to the fear of the tyrant on Capri. In the high-stakes game of Roman politics, the life of a carpenter was a small price to pay to avoid the emperor's suspicion.